The scream cut through the cold night air like glass shattering against concrete. It was sharp, terrified, and so unexpected that Daniel almost dropped the grocery bag he was carrying for his little daughter. For a split second, he froze, every survival instinct from his years in the military roaring awake. His heart pounded, every muscle tightening. But before he could fully react, a smaller voice, trembling but firm, rose beside him. His daughter Lily tugged at his worn jacket, her eyes wide, pleading, filled with a fear a child should never have to witness. She whispered, "What would change everything, Daddy? Please help her." And in that instant, the world narrowed into a single choice. Either turn away as so many others had already done, or become the only thing standing between an innocent woman and two men who clearly meant harm. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of good people stepping up when it matters most, make sure to like this video, leave a comment, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. Daniel didn't hesitate. The moment his daughter urged him forward, he stepped into the dimly lit alley with nothing but instinct and determination. Two men hovered over a woman who had fallen to her knees, clutching her handbag tight against her chest. She was shaking violently, trying to shield her face as they threatened her. Their voices were loud, slurred with anger and greed, and the alley walls trapped the sounds like a cage. The men didn't notice Daniel at first, just a single dad in thrift store clothes, struggling to make ends meet, someone they thought would never interfere. But then he spoke, low and firm, his voice carrying the weight of a man who had seen too much pain in his lifetime, and they finally turned to him with mocking smirks. They didn't smirk for long. Daniel moved with the precision of experience he rarely spoke about. Before either man could react, he stepped forward, catching the first one off guard with a knee to the stomach, sending him sprawling onto the filthy ground. The second lunged, swinging wildly, but Daniel blocked the punch with an arm hardened by years of labor as a warehouse loader. He twisted the attacker's wrist, forcing him down with a strength fueled not by rage, but by a father's unyielding need to protect, not just his daughter, but anyone vulnerable. The alley echoed with the thud of fists, the grunts of men who had underestimated the wrong person, and the ragged breathing of the woman watching through tears and shock. The confrontation felt both eternal and instantaneous, and within seconds, the two attackers were scrambling away, stumbling into the darkness and disappearing into the night. For a long moment, the only sound was the woman's sobbing. Daniel crouched beside her, reassuring her gently while Lily quietly offered her a small strawberry candy she kept in her pocket for brave moments. The woman took it with trembling fingers, and Daniel noticed how pale she was, how her coat was torn, how her knees were scraped from falling. She thanked him again and again, almost unable to stand, and when he insisted on walking her out of the alley, she gave him a fragile, grateful smile. But something about her eyes stayed with him long after she disappeared into a taxi. There was sorrow there, but also a haunting familiarity, as if she carried a burden too heavy for one person. Daniel didn't know that everything he had done, every decision, every moment of courage, was about to rewrite his entire life. That night, after Lily fell asleep clutching her stuffed bunny, Daniel sat at the small kitchen table in their tiny apartment. The light flickered overhead, casting shadows on unpaid bills stacked like a wall in front of him. His hands still shook slightly from the adrenaline, though he tried to steady them by gripping the chipped mug of lukewarm instant coffee. He was a man trying his best, but life had not been kind. Since his wife passed away years earlier, every day felt like a battle he wasn't equipped to win. Between working double shifts, raising a child alone, and struggling under debts that grew like weeds, Daniel sometimes wondered how much longer he could hold everything together. Yet tonight, as he thought about the woman he had helped, and the fear in Lily's voice when she begged him to save her, he realized something else. No matter how hard his life was, he still had enough strength left to protect someone when it mattered. He went to bed without realizing that the next morning would bring the most unexpected visitor of his life. Just after dawn, a sleek black car pulled up outside the old apartment building. Daniel was washing dishes while Lily ate cereal when a firm knock sounded at the door. He opened it cautiously, expecting perhaps a neighbor or a delivery mistake. But instead he found a man in a tailored suit standing before him, a man who looked like he belonged on magazine covers, not in a rundown building with peeling paint. His posture radiated authority, control, and quiet intimidation. Daniel instinctively straightened, unsure who he was facing. The man introduced himself calmly, but with a weight that made the air feel thicker. He was Alexander Ward, CEO of a major tech corporation, one whose name Daniel recognized from headlines he never had time to read in full. Daniel blinked, completely confused. What business could such a man have with someone like him? But then Alexander said something that nearly made Daniel's heart stop. The woman Daniel had saved last night, she wasn't just anyone. She was Alexander's sister. The CEO's voice was controlled, but beneath it lay an emotion he clearly struggled to maintain. Gratitude, fear, and something darker. Guilt. He explained that his sister had been dealing with harassing men connected to a situation she had tried to distance herself from. She had been too afraid to come forward, too afraid to ask for help, and last night had nearly cost her everything. Alexander had spent the entire night trying to track down the man who had rescued her, determined to thank him properly. His sister had described Daniel with shaking breath, and Alexander had used his resources to find him. Daniel was stunned. He tried to brush it off, insisting he only did what anyone should have done, but Alexander shook his head firmly. Not everyone would have stepped in. Not everyone would have risked their life in a dark alley, not with a child watching. And then, with genuine sincerity, he asked what he could do to repay Daniel. Daniel didn't know how to answer. He felt uncomfortable accepting anything. But Lily peeked from behind him, her small hand gripping the hem of his shirt, and Alexander took notice of the tiny apartment, the cracked floor tiles, and the stress etched into Daniel's tired eyes. It didn't take long for him to understand the truth. This brave man who protected his sister was fighting his own battles every single day. Over the next weeks, Alexander stayed in contact, not out of obligation but out of respect. He insisted on helping Daniel find better work, and used his connections to get Daniel a job in his company's security department, a role perfectly suited for his military background. Daniel was hesitant at first, afraid of being a charity case, but Alexander made it clear, this wasn't charity, it was recognition. Real heroes deserve stability too. The transition wasn't easy. Daniel struggled with change, with pride, with feeling worthy of opportunities he had never imagined receiving, but slowly, things began to shift. His new job came with better hours, better pay, and for the first time in years, he could breathe without feeling like the world was collapsing. Lily noticed it first. The way her father smiled more, the way he no longer looked exhausted every morning, the way he started dreaming again, even if quietly. Alexander's sister visited too. She brought Lily little gifts, always. Modest, never extravagant, and bonded with her over crafts and stories. She often sat with Daniel on the apartment balcony, talking about fear, survival, healing, and the strange, fragile chain of events that had brought their lives together. She told him that when he stepped into that alley, he didn't just save her life, he reminded her that good people still existed. And in return, Daniel realized something he'd forgotten for a long time, that he still mattered, that he still had purpose, that he could still build a life filled not only with responsibility, but with hope. As the months passed, the connection between the families grew stronger. Alexander invited Daniel and Lily to company events where they were treated with admiration and respect. Lily played with his sister's children, filling their mansion with laughter. Daniel's world expanded from the narrow streets and tired routines he had known, into a space where kindness was not a rare miracle, but a daily possibility. And every time he saw Alexander's sister smile, alive, safe, healing, he felt a quiet warmth in his chest, something soft and steady, something he wasn't sure he deserved but was slowly learning to accept. But the most life-changing moment came quietly, on a soft evening when Daniel picked Lily up from a company picnic. She leaned her head on his shoulder as they walked to the car, her voice dreamy and content. She said she was proud of him. She remembered the night in the alley, the way he protected someone he didn't even know, and she told him she wanted to grow up just like him, kind, brave, and helpful. Daniel felt tears sting his eyes as he hugged her close. In that moment he realized the truth. The night he saved a stranger, he had also saved a piece of himself he thought was long gone. If this story has touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Before we end, I have one special request. Please comment below what part of the story moved you the most. In the end, Daniel didn't become wealthy, and he didn't suddenly live a luxurious life, but he gained something much greater. Security for his daughter, respect for his courage, and a new family that valued him in ways he never imagined. The single dad who once struggled just to keep the lights on became a symbol of quiet heroism, proving that bravery doesn't always look like grand gestures or public recognition. Sometimes, it's simply doing the right thing when no one else will. Sometimes, it's being the hero when someone whispers, "Please help her." And sometimes, it's the smallest act of kindness that opens doors to a whole new life. Thank you for listening to this story. May it remind you that compassion, courage, and second chances can change everything.